Welcome everyone to Legion Gaming. I'm your host Donnie, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Duce.
Hello, everyone.
Duce, how are you this fine evening?
I am full and ready to talk games. Luckily, this is a sort of a loosey-goosey one, as we call it, because I'm just going to sit here and relax.
This is a bit of a looser episode, which we've done in the past. We haven't done one in a while. We've done a lot of trilogies and focusing on certain franchises and whatnot. Like you just heard, hopefully you just heard our Streets of Rage trilogy episode a couple weeks back. But today we're going to be looking at iconic weapons in gaming. And this could be pretty much any weapon from any game, from any generation. It's just weapons that we kind of were having at top of mind that we thought were badass from one to another, whether it's their use, their utility, or just for the fact that they look amazing. I don't know.
I know I based mine a lot on, it was just fun to play with and like stuff that's stuck with me over all these years.
Exactly. So it's going to be a lot of nostalgia and memories probably tied to these, which I think is always a fun episode. And of course, this isn't like a definitive, comprehensive list. We could do more of these later on. We could transmogrify these into something else. But in our episode, the possibilities are endless. But I thought this would be a fun topic for us because I think, how did we come up with this one, Ducey? Weren't we like shooting off the cuff with Doom or something like that? I think it was because of the BFG, right?
Maybe. Like, I remember it was in one of our older episodes and you happened to say as sort of an aside, like we were talking about a weapon in that game, whatever game it was, and then you were like, "Oh man, this would go on like a best of weapons list. We should think about that."
Yeah, exactly. So I think what we have here is a pretty solid list. I tried to keep mine pretty varied with some unique ones and some really iconic ones. Granted, we're kind of labeling these all as iconic, so I think that's pretty fun regardless.
And I do like how our lists are quite different again, kind of like our game of the year. It was basically, you can tell how we grew up and with what games.
Yeah, you could tell the based on what we chose, what franchises we all loved, or what we loved, I should say, not all of us, but perhaps collectively. But between the two was what franchises we gravitated towards and why they're iconic. And there's some that are going to resonate with everyone listening because some of these are pretty well known. I would say
iconic.
Yeah, iconic. Before we get to all the weapon goodness, Ducey, what have you been playing lately?
Well, thanks to the holidays, I got a new game on Switch. The Mario and Luigi Brothership.
I've been wanting to play this because I was telling you when you texted me you got it that I already forgot it came out, which sucks because it came out in early November and there was just so much happening and time went by so fast and a lot of games coming out that I was like, I'll get this, whenever, and I just totally forgot it was out.
Yeah, I gotta thank my wife. She got it for me for Christmas, and it's kind of funny. I knew it was coming, and then at the same time, I forgot about it because she got it a while back, and I was like, no, I'll wait until Christmas. I wanna open this up. And I haven't played it too much because I got into it, but it was really late, and I was just laying in bed playing it, and so I was dozing. But from the very brief intro that I played, I almost forgot it was. It's kind of like a turn-based RPG, like the classic Mario RPG or Paper Mario, which is basically what the Mario and Luigi series has been. I've really enjoyed this series all the way since the first one on Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, it's really good because it's. The thing with JRPGs, and that's always something that I think developers always struggle for and players struggle for, is they say the pace of it could become slow, because just by nature being turn-based, it's just going to be a naturally slower-paced game. But I liked Mario and Luigi back then because you controlled them independently, and they also you could work with them in tandem, so it added a little bit more interactivity with the turn-based movement.
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept of the co-op where you're playing single player, but Mario is the A button and Luigi's always the B button.
Yeah, it's a really cool gimmick.
You can even solve puzzles out in the main world with using both of those, alternating and stuff like that. Like I said, I haven't gotten too far into it. I just got Luigi. You don't start with him. You run around a little bit and learn the basics of fighting, and then you collect him. The only thing I noticed right off the bat is there's some voice acting, but it's mostly text like an RPG. But the voice acting is very limited to just Mario screaming for Luigi and Luigi screaming for Mario.
So it's just a lot of sound bites,
yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get it. What did James Cameron write this? What is this? I've also been playing, thanks to the releases on the Nintendo Switch app and the Game Boy Switch app. I've been playing a ton of Tetris. Tetris 99 came out, and it had a skin for Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah.
That was a fun one to collect. And then I've been playing Tetris DX on Game Boy, which was the original Tetris, but colorized for Game Boy Color.
Yeah, that was when the Game Boy Color launched. They released all these color enhanced games that had the DX moniker on there, which I thought was fun, like Zelda's Link's Awakening DX, Tetris DX. Yeah,
And they made a little bit of an improvement to it. It's a little quicker. Even when you're starting on level 0, it just feels a lot smoother than the original Tetris. And for some reason, I think they adjusted the randomness of the things, because like in the first game you could go forever. Even the Nintendo version, it was almost impossible to get a Tetris because they just wouldn't give you that stick at the end. But this one, like my highest score right now is over 300,000, and I got up to level 30 in just the regular marathon mode. I was like, yeah, this feels more like a modern Tetris, but still with the classic graphics and everything.
maybe they tweaked it when they did the DX port, because I'd imagine they had to rebalance something, just while they had the time and they were dipping in there anyway,
And I also played a lot of the original Tetris on NES, because that came out for the Switch Online. That one they did not adjust. That one is still a pain in the ass when you're sitting there. Like, there were a couple playthroughs where I didn't get past the level 0, because I was building it up and waiting for a stick to get a Tetris, and it just eventually crashed because I could not clear a single line. I was like, thanks a lot. But then I was like, yes, these are the memories.
Yeah, it's cool they added both those games, because I've been wanting to get Tetris Forever from Digital Eclipse. Digital Eclipse has been doing those.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool. I think they're called Goldmaster series, where there's these sort of documentary gaming experiences like they're doing with Atari. That was really awesome. That was sort of like you kind of go through Atari's history chronologically while also playing games within that history. And they did that for Tetris. So I was surprised that Nintendo decided to release the Game Boy and Nintendo versions, because it seems like it would have been a shoo-in, at the launch.
Yeah.
But it's cool they added it, because Tetris is always top of mind, I think. Was that all you've been playing? All you've been getting into?
Yep, pretty much. I've been also continuing Indiana Jones, and that one I finally got through, like the main underground, like the temple, I guess you could say, or whatever it is. But like, it's when you finally aren't disguised and being stealthy. You are Indiana with the hat and the whip, and you're.
Is it when you're after the fountain? Is that in the Vatican? When
When you go down underground, and then things start crashing around you and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's when it kicks into Indiana gear for sure.
Yeah.
And then you'll get to Egypt, which, like I said, it's really cool, Egypt, but it wore thin on me after a few hours because it's like all the running. But that feels like Indiana more than anything else. And yeah, I mean, really the whole game is just Indiana bliss. It's really great.
I do have to give it up for the voice actor, Troy Baker.
Troy Baker's always amazing.
Really sounds like a young Harrison Ford.
He does.
He did a great job on that one.
He's also, I mean, he's done a ton of games, but he was also Liquid Snake, right? Way back in the day? Was that Troy Baker?
No, that was Cam Clark.
Oh, Troy Baker played somebody in the Metal Gear series.
I mean, he's been a ton of people over the years in all of our favorite games.
Yeah, he was. But I thought Troy Baker did something specific in Metal Gear, but I'll have to look that up. But regardless, yeah, Troy Baker is always amazing. He's definitely one of the best male voice actors around for like the last couple decades. Yeah. From what I've been playing more PSVR Beat Saber because they released that Metallica pack, and you know me and metal, Deucey. It's just like bread and butter or peanut butter and jelly or Reese's peanut butter and chocolate. It's all just perfect for me. So I've been playing the Metallica pack, which has 17 Metallica songs from pretty much most of their history, most of their albums. Like there's at least one cut from like the thrash early era, right, and like the Black Album, whatnot, Load Reload, until modern times. And it's an amazing time. Like I love, how much I love Beat Saber to begin with, especially when we discovered they had more licensed music, and now they have a Metallica pack, which is like, oh my god, like could this game get any better? And it definitely does.
It's a nice workout too.
It does. It's a really good workout. I'm only playing on medium, and it's a workout.
I know. I saw that clip that you showed, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, you really gotta try it. Hopefully you'll have some time to try it today or something. But it's a great time. Then I've been playing a couple of, I guess, sort of like throwback games because I had seen John Linneman's list on Digital Foundry. And he reminded me of a couple of games that, I'd seen him mention, others mentioned, I just forgot about. But one of them is Devil Blade Reboot, which is this shoot 'em up that's a full-blown remake from, I think it was like the mid-90s or something like that. I don't know if it was like a PS1 era game, but it looks like a 16-bit Genesis shooter.
Did he say it was on Saturn or something like that?
It was, because the game that it was created in was called Days-of-Mon Plus. And that is sort of like, it's just like a shoot 'em up maker, which is amazing to think that it existed in the mid-90s. So I guess that this Devil Blade game was originally made within that Days-of-Mon Plus, and then the developer, which I forgot what their name is, but it's a Japanese developer. But their logo when the game starts looks like the Sega logo, like that blue sheen,
Oh,
blue
weird.
gloss. It's really, it's like they're really wearing their inspiration on their sleeve.
Yeah.
But this is very much like it feels like a Genesis era shooter, and the music is just freaking incredible. I really gotta have you try it because it's a bullet hell shooter. I have to warn you, like it's really difficult. Like there's sequences where I'm in where I'm like, oh crap, I dodged that without getting hit somehow. It's miraculous. But it's got a great sort of system here where you have these sort of circles all around your ship, and within those circles that really tells you what range you're in within the enemies, because the closer you are, the higher your score multiplier goes.
That makes sense.
Whereas the further away you are, you can play it safe, right? You can kind of safely pick off enemies as they come in, but you get less of a score. So the idea is you're supposed to be all up in your enemy's face to get the maximum score multiplier, and then also you go into berserk mode where if this meter goes past 100%, your enemies do, let's see, they have more health, they shoot more bullets, but your multiplier goes up to 20 times. So it's really hard. But the great thing about this game is that when you do lose, you remember that game Skyforce Anniversary we were into
I
on
was just
Switch?
thinking of that. I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, where it has sort of like this grinding loop that I think is perfect for shmups, where you can go through a level multiple times and you earn currency to unlock more continues, more lives, or whatever sort of help thing you need. In this case, like I'll die, but I'll get so many coins where I can get more continues. So at some point you're bound to get enough continues to beat the game, because there's only 6 levels in a shmup in this one, and easy mode is pretty easy, normal's tough, and there's 2 difficulties beyond that. So it's just a matter of like how much time you put into it, and shmups are always just a great comfort genre for me. So I'm really having a good time with this one. Another one that he recommended that was on his list that I've been really liking so far is Parking Garage Rally Circuit.
Yeah.
Which looks
Hilarious name.
Yeah, it's such a ridiculous name, and the idea here, it's like it looks a lot like a Saturn era racing game, specifically Sega Rally Racer, which is like a huge, it's like one of the bigger rally games of the time. It looks that aesthetic, including like the Saturn. You know how the Saturn has like that dither checkerboard, dithering effect for its transparencies. It even includes that in here. So it looks like a PS1 era Saturn or PS1 Saturn era game. And every course are like these short courses within a parking garage. But it's fun because it'll also spread off into certain themes. Like there's a snow area, like you'll start from a parking garage and go like into a bigger parking area that's snowed out, or like this weird jungle area. So the biggest thing about this game is the control. It feels freaking amazing to play. Like it's just, the gimmick is you're supposed to constantly drift and drift out turns, and each boost is consecutive. So you actually get a bigger boost by constantly drifting pretty quickly. It's kind of like Mario Kart if you could shing turbos, and it would actually make you go faster later.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I saw the gameplay of it. It looked like you said, the classic graphics, but the way he was handling it, it looked like modern controls.
It is.
And modern physics.
It's super tight for the controls. Like the physics are they can be fluid. Like if you go off a big jump, there's not much you can do to prevent your car from feeling kind of like, a paper plane where it just kind of flips through the air.
Oh, like Rush?
Yeah, kind of like, it actually, Rush is a great comparison for it. Like it does feel that sort of weightlessness of Rush when your car's in the air.
Or the helplessness.
Yeah, the helplessness. Exactly. Yeah. Whereas when you're on the ground, like Rally Circuit, Rally Parking Garage Rally Circuit controls perfectly, whereas Rush is, Rush is Rush.
Yeah.
But it's a great time. There's 3 different classes. There's like 8 races within each. And there's also, once you beat the race, you unlock an endurance mode, which basically is how many laps you can get through before time expires, because each drift you execute and chain, you get more time on the clock. So the idea is like you would chain, keep getting more time from your drifts, and you get like, 5, 10 wear laps. I got like 6 laps on the first run, but, as time goes on, you get less bonus seconds for the drifts, which means you have to be drifting more.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a cool sort of aspect of that where you're trying to top your own high score. And it's a dirt cheap game. Unfortunately, it's only on PC. I've been playing on Steam Deck on my PC. But it was only like $8. I think it's normally like $10 on a regular price. But it's a really fantastic time.
Same with that shoot 'em up, right?
The shoot 'em up was, I think, $15 retail.
But
Brand new.
it's only PC too.
It's only PC for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it works great on the Steam Deck. Like, it looks gorgeous. I'll show you, because there's some like just really impressive stuff. I really have been enjoying that shmup. Like, I just love a good shmup that gets its hooks in you,
I really liked his list. because he also reminded me that I got to play the Penny's Big Breakaway.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites earlier. I should have put that on my honorable mentions, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But that was such a great time. Like, it's not Astrobot level, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of, well, the Sonic Adventure games, because it was by the Sonic Mania team, I think.
I think
wasn't it?
yes, Sonic Mania team.
Yeah, and then it also reminded me, of just Banjo-Kazooie, ukulele, all those.
Yeah, and the whole gimmick there is you're on a yo-yo, so
Yeah.
that's like your weapon. You can also ride it like almost like a unicycle thing.
Oh, I just thought of, okay, well, when we get to our list, I just thought of a weapon.
Oh,
that
I think I already thought of the one you thought about.
Yeah,
Okay,
because we're talking about Penny. Yeah.
I see it. Okay, now I see where you're going, Deucey. All right, well, I guess that's a better there's no better segue than that. Let's get into some of our iconic gaming weapons, Deucey. All right, Deucey. We are here at our main events at our, as you said, and as we call it, Loosey Goosey episode.
Yeah.
And we have the pup here who's just joined us, who has some inputs, I'm sure. Hi, puppy. But we're doing iconic gaming weapons today. And we're really, we just have a big list here. We're just kind of go through them, maybe talk about why we put them on our lists. Both of us have lists that are pretty different from each other for the most part. I don't know if we really had anything that was on the same list. I think there's a couple. I know one for sure. And of course, we just thought of one right before the break, which is hilarious because we didn't have to say anything. And there was one word that I already knew. So I'm going to have you say it when we get to it, Deucey.
Yep.
And then I'm sure it's going to be the same one. But you want to start us off? Was yours earlier than mine, or how should we go about this?
Probably. Mine, my first one is kind of the origin of it all.
I
Well,
think this might be the most obvious one.
it's not, it doesn't go back all the way to Atari days, but it's from Super Mario 1 and into all the Marios after. It's the Fireball.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could say it's a power up because that's what they call it in the game and everything, but I consider it a weapon because
Because it helps you kill enemies.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable to consider it a weapon.
up until that point, you're just, going through the level, stomping on things with your feet. And then all of a sudden you get this flower popping out of a box and ta-da, now you have a projectile.
Yeah, I think it's fair because just to sort of set the table here, we didn't have any specific guardrails on our choices. Like there was some choices I wanted to put on my list that were, I think I realized were more power-ups. Like I wanted to put the Chaos Emeralds when you turn to Supersonic, but that's not necessarily a weapon.
Yeah, that makes
It's more of a
Sonic the
power-up.
weapon.
Yeah, exactly. I had the Mario's cape on here, which was more of a power-up as well. Yeah, but the Fireball is just it's a really good first choice, I would say, because to me, that's actually a weapon more than anything else. It's a power-up, but you actually get a weapon out of
It
it.
leads into a lot of our future ones here that are a lot of guns, a lot of
Yeah.
projectiles.
Well, it is weapons based, so I guess it makes sense. We have a lot of guns and foreign objects. That's a weird word to use, but it makes sense. All right, so I guess I'll go with my next choice before we get to the other one that you and I were both thinking of. But my choice, and I think this is very obvious because both you and I love this series. We did a whole episode ranking them, but I put the Mega Buster on my list because some of my earliest gaming memories beyond Super Mario Brothers usually involves Mega Man in some way. And it's because I grew up with Part 3. I borrowed 4 from our friend Vito a ton. I borrowed 2 from you because that was really great when we all had different versions. But to me, like that pea shooter that can only shoot 3 bullets at a time way back in the day is one of the most iconic weapons. It's not even getting into the versatility of the Mega Buster technically, right? Because the whole idea is like when Mega Man absorbs boss weapons,
yeah, he has tons
you
of
have
weapons.
way more weapons
Yeah.
at that point. And they all do something more or less drastically different than the other. So I feel like this, and I also kind of I put the X Buster on there as well because I just love Mega Man X.
Oh, yeah.
But those two, really just the Mega Buster in general, it's one of my favorite weapons.
I would even say, back in the day when I was little, I called it an arm cannon because I think one of the games called it that even before they gave it the name Mega Buster. But that applies to all games that have like just a gun arm, like Samus in Metroid has a gun on her arm, a cannon. All the Mega Mans, all the Mega Man X, even Barrett from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, he's got a whole freaking Gatling gun
hand.
as a hand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fun time when you can shoot things, in these platformers and stuff like that instead of trying to dodge enemies or trying to jump on them. It's like I'm just going to stand back and snipe you.
Yeah. and beyond all that too, some of the choices on my list here are partly because of the sound that I'm reminded of when I hear it, right? So it's when you hear the Mega Buster, just the initial cheep of his regular Buster, like you immediately just get, you just get a ton of memories of playing those games when you were a kid.
And then you could charge them up in the later ones.
Yeah.
The constant
The warbling and everything, the oscillating. Absolutely. Yeah. So the Mega Buster, I think, is like the most obvious choice I could personally put as like my sort of first in the NES era.
And another one in the NES era is the one that I just thought of when we were talking about Penny's Big Breakaway, and it's from Star Tropics.
I knew it. There it was.
The yo-yo.
The yo-yo, yep.
The first time that I can remember using a yo-yo as a weapon, because I know it comes back in like Earthbound and obviously now Penny's Big Breakaway and stuff like that, but I just thought it was so unique that Star Tropics was this sort of like dungeon crawler, but you're just a regular kid with a regular toy just destroying these monsters.
I think that's what's fun about a lot of those games from, at least when we grew up, because obviously it's different now. I'm sure kids probably feel the same in their senses. But for me growing up, it was always really cool when a game would take a toy or like an everyday kid object and turn that into some sort of mystical weapon you could get through a game with.
It's kind of like Zombies Ate My Neighbors had.
It's almost like a super soaker. Yeah, exactly. So it's. I think that this makes it more relatable when you're a kid. And with a yo-yo, like I was terrible with a yo-yo.
Oh yeah,
but it was really awesome when you play Star Tropics and that was his freaking weapon. Eventually, it turns into like a flail or a Morning Star. I forgot what they called it.
Morning Star. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that his weapon basically becomes a mace by the end of the game.
And you could just rapid fire that thing.
Yeah.
Even though it's a yo-yo, you have to wait for it to come back. It was just like a constant boom, 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 boom.
God, I really wish we would make a new one. I know we've talked about Star Tropics and how we wish there would be a new one, but it's crazy that for as iconic and as much of a cult status game that is, that Nintendo's never bothered to revisit it and they never thought to surface it again.
They haven't even, I don't even think they put it into collections like Smash Brothers. I don't know if you ever got a trophy about it.
I don't know if they even referenced it. I can't remember.
Yeah, or have a little, it would have been cool if you had one of those little buddies that you throw the trophy out.
Yeah, the
and
assist
then,
trophies.
Yeah, and then he comes out smacking people with yo-yos or something.
Yeah, there's a lot they could do with it. It's just surprising that it's just, this series more or less has lost the time. Like, I don't even think, is it on Switch Online? I can't recall.
Maybe the first one.
Yeah, I assume at least the first one had to have been.
Yeah, but I don't think they've put the second one out yet.
Yeah, which
that'd
is
be a
shame.
good time.
Yeah, so as soon as that sort of light bulb popped in your head,
Yeah.
and I said yo-yo, I was like, I know where he's going to go with this. I'm just thinking to say anything, and that mental synergy is going to kick off. It's going to hit just right.
Yep.
All right, so the next one on my list, another obvious one for me, if anyone knows me out there, it's the Vampire Killer, the iconic Castlevania whip. I grew up with Castlevania 3. I put it as my number one game on the NES of all time on my personal list because of how much I played that game, despite how hard it was and the fondness I have for it. And the Vampire Killer is just an awesome weapon. It's a freaking leather whip. It's meant to kill demons and vampires, and it's got some really cool story behind it. So, this Castlevania storyline is muddled. There's no doubt about that. Like, there's just entries crossing each other. There's stories that may not make sense, but it seems that the Vampire Killer does have some lore that at least is current right now. So it all started with the Lament of Innocence, which was the PS2 game. You play as Leon Belmont. His fiancée was cursed with vampirism, and he had the whip originally. It was called the what do they call it here? The whip of alchemy. So it's just sort of a whip that was imbued with alchemic powers. And because his fiancée was cursed with vampirism, she was able to willingly sacrifice herself to make the whip reach its final form, which was the Vampire Killer. Because in order to unlock the potential of the Vampire Killer, it has to have a willing, tainted participant, and she was the one. And really, it's just at the greater good of it. And as Dawn of Sorrow describes his weapon, it's a whip that destroys all that is associated with the dark creature of the night. As a result of an ancient blood pact, it can only be used by a Belmont. So that's how it connects to the Belmonts, that only the descendants of Belmonts can use a Vampire Killer.
I know I played Portrait of Ruin recently, and the male character in that, he has the whip, but he can't seem to use it.
Yeah, so it's I read what the sort of retcon was for that, because it's sort of connected to the Vampire Killer, and I think they sort of added like an asterisk, almost like it was supposed to be like a descendant of Belmont, but also like maybe you could hand it to somebody. I'm not sure how it works.
Oh,
because I forgot how the character in Portrait of Ruin is with Vampire Killer and the whip, because I think there's something to it. It's just I just forgot that story and how it played out.
Yeah, I'm assuming I'll unlock it at some point, because I have it and it doesn't really do much damage, but I'm assuming you have it as part of the story, and eventually you unlock its potential.
That makes sense. Yeah. So there you go. So they kind of tied in that whole lore with the origins of it into Portrait of Ruin. But that's, for me, again, that's an obvious choice for me, because I love Castlevania. I've loved the series since then. I love it now. But it's really interesting that really because of Symphony of the Night, like the series really isn't as known for its whip as anymore so much. It's known
Yeah.
for like its swords and its vast array of weapons, because all the GBA ones and DS ones, like you would get whips, you more commonly wouldn't use them. You'd probably be using axes and swords. So it's interesting that it started with a whip, and now the series has kind of strayed far and away from that one.
I found it refreshing. Like in Circle of the Moon, it's kind of heavily whip based.
That's true. Yeah, that was the
And-
last one that was really whip based.
And then, like I said, Portrait of Ruin has it, and I wish it would do more, but I just have to wait until the story tells me that it will. Because I had played a lot of the Sorrows, Arya and Dawn first, and I was like, oh, there's a whip in here, but it's very like weak.
it's not good.
Yeah.
And it's, it's just slower. It's interesting how you're just using the whip and you play it in a game like that. You're like, oh, I don't want to use this anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not Castlevania, but it is. Yeah. All right, Ducey, what's next on your iconic weapons list?
Mine is probably more associated with like what my favorites were back in the day. Thanks to, if you listen to our very third episode ever about the Disney games.
Oh my God, that was such a long time ago. It doesn't feel that way.
And so this one is iconic in that, like, I think anybody who had a Nintendo growing up knows of this game if they didn't own it. And it's DuckTales, and it's Scrooge's cane. Because, sure, Mario could jump on enemies, but this one, you jumped on them in a pogo-style manner. And then in the later ones, like DuckTales 2, he started to use it more. You could pull switches, you could pull blocks around to hop on them. It was just very versatile, which, if you watch the cartoons, is also how he used the cane. He used it for all sorts of adventuring.
I figured that was going to go on your list.
Yeah.
Just like when we were talking about this episode, I was like, I know he's going to put something Disney on there, and it's likely going to be DuckTales and maybe something else. So that was it's a worthwhile pick, though, because that's also a pretty unique weapon. I think that's also what makes some weapons iconic for me, is not even that the fact that they're just utility and this and that. It's just they're pretty unique and different. And I have a few on the list that I think are pretty different as well. So we'll get to those soon.
I'm sure when they were thinking of the idea for the game, they were like, okay, Scrooge is kind of this old duck. How are we going to make it so that he can defeat enemies? He can't just dodge all of them. And instead of like swinging the cane like a bat or something, it was pretty interesting to think, how about you pogo jump? You can even pogo jump through the entire level if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, you could just traverse that one. It's much faster than just walking, which made the game that much more fun too.
Yeah.
All right, the next on my list is another very obvious one that I think a lot of people would probably put on their list. It's the Master Sword from the Zelda series. My personal favorite iteration of this, and that's because I have the fondness for the game, it's really Ocarina of Time, just because of the time change gimmick and going back as young Link and adult Link and whatnot. Like that was really just an amazing twist for me. I know the sword has origins based on Skyward Sword, that called the Goddess Sword when it was created by the goddess of Hylia. And then at some point, the sword was bathed in the sacred three flames, and Dim's flame imbued the sword with the power to repel evil, which was then enhanced when it was blessed by Princess Zelda, who was a descendant of Hylia.
Whoa.
So it's got its own great lore that's, again, much like Castlevania, it's a little bit muddy because there's a whole chronology of Zelda and no one's really sure what's the proper story or what the proper timeline is, because it just keeps diverging.
At some point it splits. I think my favorite version of it is from A Link to the Past.
That would have been my second one, yeah.
That was the first time where you had to go to the temples and get the little pendants and prove that you were worthy of the sword, which they then used for Ocarina and maybe some future Zeldas too. But that was the first time that I recalled, like, oh, this must be kind of an important sword.
Yeah, and I think if I put that second only because when I was like 13 when Ocarina of Time came out, and I remember I probably mentioned this before too, but it's like I rented it because I wasn't sure about the hype. I was like, whatever, it's Ocarina of Time, and I rented it. I was like, crap, I have to buy this.
Yeah.
So I got it, and I was just like glued to that game. But I feel like just the reason I put the Ocarina of Time sword as my sort of top of the Master Sword lore is because when I played that and the experience of, again, like you start off as young Link, you go as adult Link, and even as young Link, you go through the 3 dungeons, just like Link to the Past, and then you go to the 8 dungeons as adult Link. But between that, you go back and forth, and you have to eventually get the Master Sword, and that becomes like the ultimate weapon. And it's just the visual of Link pulling it out of the pedestal, right? And like those really awesome N64 graphics with the light reflecting and everything. Like they just made it look truly as legendary as it sounded. And that's really the only difference. It's really just an aesthetic choice for me versus why I went pick Link to the Past.
And even in that one, they give you the bigger sword, the Bigoron sword.
Yeah.
But you don't want to use it. You're like, no, this Master Sword is pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So that one is just, I think really it's just rooted in so much fondness is what it is.
My next one, I'm keeping it in the Nintendo era. Another one that people might not have heard of too much, but it's another cartoon game for me, and it's from Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle. It's the Boxing Glove.
That's a great one.
And in that game, it's a very puzzle-heavy game where you have to get around the level, collect all the carrots, and don't get touched by Sylvester or Daffy or Yosemite, any of those guys. You only have one hit. Like, you get touched, you're dead. And in that one, you don't normally get a weapon. You can drop things off of ledges onto these characters if you have timed it right. But every once in a while, there'll just be a boxing glove laying in the thing. And it's your one projectile. It's your one shot that will go straight out in front of you and knock out an enemy completely. But it's only the one shot, unless there's like 2 in a level or something like that. So it's very sought after. You're like, when the level starts, you're like, boy, I hope there's a boxing glove in this one, because there's sometimes isn't one, and you're like, well, I have to go old school with this. But when you get that boxing glove, you're like, oh, I'm invincible now.
Yeah, you go ham as Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fun one. The next one on my list, this one is it's a little bit of a different tone than your boxing glove and the theme there, but it's the BFG 9000 from Doom. This one had to be on my list after I mentioned it. But this was, as this was described in Tom Hall's Doom design document, it was just described as big fucking gun. We're allowed, I guess, I don't know how many F words in PG-13, wherever the case is.
Yeah.
But that's one of the few ones. But yeah, the BFG 9000, it's really just the ultimate weapon in Doom. It shoots this giant green orb of plasma energy. I don't know what it is. And it just obliterates basically everything on the screen. It won't kill like the biggest of bosses, but it's damn near close.
It damages them a good amount.
Yeah, it makes it to where they're just, inconsequential at that point. And then the BFG's seen it's hasn't evolved too much overall the Doom series. They did bring it back in like Doom 2016 and Eternal, and I love using it there. It's just like even more graphically pleasing when I just see all that id Tech goodness, just all the green plasma energy and stuff, and just exploding everything. So this weapon, I feel like, again, like the basis for this episode is rooted in the BFG, because when I was a kid, this was like almost like the schoolyard rumor talk thing where everyone's like, did you see the BFG?
Yeah.
What does that stand for? And then you whisper it to your buddy because you're like 7 or 8 years old playing Doom or something stupid,
And I don't think it was in the Super Nintendo Doom, which is the first Doom I played.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So I'd always kind of heard these letters, and everybody liked saying the name because it was bad. But I never got to actually play with the gun. And even when I borrowed the PC versions from you and installed them, the BFG was always in the later levels that were really hard to get to for me. So every once in a while I would finally get it, and then it eats up a lot of ammo. So it was one of those ones where you gotta hoard the ammo and use it sparingly.
Yeah, you gotta rip it and you gotta use it at that point. That's like your eject button almost. Like, oh geez, there's swarms of enemies. I gotta bring out the BFG.
Yeah. To piggyback on this though, I picked a weapon from Doom, but I just went with the normal everyday shotgun.
That would have been my other choice. Yeah, those two. I mean, those are Doom iconic for a reason.
I mean, I feel like because of Doom and its shotgun, every first-person shooter said, we have to have a shotgun.
I would say so, because I don't know how many shotguns were in games previous to Doom. I'm sure there's plenty, but Doom is the first one where it felt like there was an impact behind it, and it felt like it was really effective for just about every enemy in there. And it just felt great to use. Yeah,
even though you have to do the pump action after every shot, it still went by pretty quick. And like you said, it could kill almost everything. The main soldier guys were down in one shot, which was sort of unheard of for a lot of first-person shooters.
Yeah.
And then 2 shots for the imps, and those pinky guys were like 3 to 4. And yeah, no matter what type of like plasma weapon I'll get in the later levels, I will still always like go back to the shotgun for most of it.
Yeah, and there's a reason whenever you see Doom reference, usually like in a screenshot or something, he's always holding usually a shotgun, not the pistol,
Yeah.
maybe a chain gun, maybe the BFG, but I'd say like 9 times out of 10, you're going to see Doom guy holding the shotgun in a Doom screenshot.
I mean, it even went to like Duke Nukem had a good shotgun. Turok had a good shotgun. They gave you the flame shells on that one. Even GoldenEye wanted to get in on the action. They gave you the auto shotgun in a couple levels.
I remember using that one a lot, likely because of Doom.
Yeah.
All right, the next one on my list we talked about pretty recently on our Streets of Rage episode. It's from Streets of Rage 2. It's the lead pipe, Deucey. Again, a lot of the reason I put this on my list is because of the funness I had for the game and playing it as a kid. But we talked pretty well at length in that Streets of Rage episode about the sounds of Streets of Rage, specifically 2, and like how everything was made to sound really impactful, and like the sound effects were, really tuned up, like you could really hear them. Maybe too much over the music, for as great as the music was, right? But the lead pipe, when you swung that thing, it made like a phew noise, like it sounded like it was just cutting through air. And then worse is when you popped an enemy with it, where it just sounded like you just cracked them into a billion pieces. It just sounds like a really loud, dense noise that just sounds painful.
This was the melee version of the Doom shotgun.
It was
going to one hit a lot of the lower enemies.
Yeah,
and it had great range.
It did. Like it was really long to, it had like really long range because you could just swing that thing forward and it would hit multiple enemies at once. You got like, where it was like 5-6 uses out of it. I don't even know what it really was, but it's like anytime you could find it, you were always picking up that lead pipe. And the weapons for the most part in Streets of Rage 2 are pretty useful for the most part, I think. But the lead pipe is the one that you pick up all the time because it just feels so good to use.
Even if you already have a weapon, you're like, oh, I have this knife.
Yeah, I need the pipe.
Let me throw that real quick so I can get this pipe.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the. There's a couple on my list that are just like these, I guess we'll call them everyday objects of sorts that aren't necessarily weapons, but they're iconic despite being just things you wouldn't normally use as a weapon. There's actually one I can think of too that we could put on there too, but we'll get to that. Go ahead with your next one, Deucey.
Mine is sticking with guns, and I'm sure a lot of people are saying, well, if you're going to talk about Nintendo, there's one main gun that everybody will always aim for in this game, in this series. It's Contra.
Oh yeah,
and it's the spread gun.
Oh yeah, spread gun.
The only gun you need in any version of Contra. Mm-hmm. I didn't play Contra a whole lot back on Nintendo, but when I did start finally playing it in arcades or on the Xbox Live Arcade and stuff like that, I quickly learned, I need the spread gun. Not this laser, not the fire. No, the spread gun.
You need to cover as much area as possible in that game because there's just enemies on all areas possible. So it's like it helps when you have the spread gun because it just covers that much of the screen where you're not really worried about anything else.
Yeah.
You're just worried about jumping or surviving or dodging bullets that are coming at you in the midst of all of it.
Yeah, hold down the trigger and then just focus on your body so that other bullets don't come and hit you.
Yeah, then it becomes almost like a shmup at that point.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The next one on my list, I kind of combine these because they're all related to fighting games. And I didn't want to put too many fighting games on this list because, no one wants to have this as a full-blown fighting game thing. I combine them. So I know one's also on your list, so I'm going to kind of go backwards. So I put Soul Edge from Soul Calibur and Soul Blade. That's like the iconic Soul sword from that series.
With the eyeball on it.
With the eyeball on it. I don't know the specific lore of it. I can't really recall, but it's just, I'm sure it's imbued with souls of something.
Soul Edge was like the evil one, and Soul Calibur was the good one.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. So for me, like I grew up playing those games a ton. My brother and I we played Soul Blade a ton, but once Soul Calibur came out, like on the Dreamcast, which is the reason I got a Dreamcast, we played that like non-freaking stop. It was amazing, right? So I put that on there, and I also put technically this is their fists and feet, but I put Ryu and Ken's Hadouken and Shoryuken.
Oh yeah,
because they're not technically. I mean, they're weapons in a different sense, but those you recognize both sounds, you recognize both motions, and if you talk to any person who's played games or fighting games, you know the Hadouken and the Shoryuken.
Yeah, people expect Hadoukens or fireballs in all fighting games.
Exactly.
Even if they're not in there.
Yeah, like even if there's a fireball in there, again, they'll call it Hadouken or something.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot there. And the one that's on both our lists, which I figure is going to be on there, is Scorpion Spear from Mortal Kombat. Because, I mean, my God, in the early 90s, when people were really upset about violent video games and whatnot, what better example than to show a Spectre, basically, throw a spear from his wrist, shove it, and it impales someone's throat, and then he says, "Get over here,"
and
yanks him towards him. It's fantastic.
Yeah, even though Mortal Kombat 4 introduced weapons like everybody got a weapon, a sword, an axe, whatever. This was the origin. This was like the only guy that deserved a weapon, really. It was, well, Shao Kahn had that hammer. That was annoying as hell. But no, like,
But before Shao Kahn's hammer, there was,
Scorpion Spear was what drew you to the arcade cabinets, because you could always hear him yelling, "Get over here!" And then he was one of the few with projectiles. I mean, I know Sub-Zero had the ice.
Yeah, and
Liu
Kano
Kang
had the
had
knife.
Liu Kang had a fireball.
They all had projectiles except, actually all of them had projectiles in Mortal Kombat 1.
But this one I put on my list because I considered it a true weapon. Like, it's not even called a spear in real life. There is a sharp thing on a rope. I forgot what it's called. But yeah, it's very heavily based on that, and it was just awesome.
And also, beyond that, this is, in fighting games, most of the moves you have traditionally are to push your enemy away, right? Like
Yeah.
The fireball would push them away. The spinning kicks, they push them away in some senses. This is the first move or weapon that I can recall where if someone's jumping away from you, that's how you get them close to you. Is
Yeah.
you reel them in, and they're stunned from getting speared, and it's something that wasn't seen back then at all. And yeah, to me, this is like the most obvious choice from a fighting game to have on an iconic weapons list. The next one on my list, we're kind of moving to the PS1 era a little bit here. I put.
Oh, well, if we want, I can go back to the kind of the Super Nintendo era.
If you want, we go back and forth. I don't care.
Okay.
We're just rolling with the punches here.
I've got a couple here from Metroid. My first thought was mostly Super Metroid, but these have been in basically anything with the name Metroid. It's the Ice Beam and the Screw Attack.
I was thinking about the screw attack.
Yeah.
I almost put that on my list.
Because at first I only had the Ice Beam because I was thinking her gun arm, and a gun is a weapon. And I really liked the utility of the Ice Beam because not only was it necessary to get through the Metroids at the end of the game, but it solved puzzles. You could freeze enemies and stand on them and get around better in the different levels. And then I realized, oh wait, the Screw Attack is amazing. It's one of the late game weapons, and it just makes you invincible. You're now this flying buzzsaw.
Yeah, fully electrified, and nothing will stand in your way at that point. It's almost like having an invincibility code at that point.
Yep.
Not quite, but damn near close.
As long as you can keep jumping, which in Super Metroid you got the space jump to keep flying, then you were truly invincible.
Yeah, I think in Metroid Dread, I got really good with the screw attack, and you just kind of like almost float through areas, killing everything in your way.
Yeah.
All right, now my next one here is the Masamune from Final Fantasy VII. This is Sephiroth's weapon. It's based on I believe it's an Odachi sword in Japan. It's like this really long sword that's not a katana. It's just much bigger than that. And in Final Fantasy VII, so when I saw that, because Final Fantasy VII was really probably the first RPG I completed all the way through, and it was really probably the first one I recall actually playing as far as an RPG. Like I played like, Crystallis and a few others when I was a kid, but I didn't understand them and couldn't get into them.
Final Fantasy 3/6.
That's right. I did play
on
that a
Super
little
Nintendo.
bit. Yeah, I didn't own it at the time. I got that way later. But yeah, so I had really limited experience with RPGs, and Final Fantasy VII, like for most people, got them into RPGs. And the character designs were amazing all throughout. But Sephiroth as a character is already amazing, and then you give him this gigantic, ridiculous sword, and his badass rating just goes even further. So it's even more great because it starts as sort of like a physical weapon, but then once he sort of transcends and fuses himself with the life stream, then it becomes a weapon he can summon at will. It's almost like an ethereal sword or something like that. So it's really badass. And he's the only one who can really wield it apparently, but in every freaking shot you see him in, it just looks like such a badass weapon, like someone you don't want to mess with. Like even my statue up there, you can see, dude, so like it just looks awesome with that giant sword.
Yeah.
So I had to put this on the list. This is the most obvious one. My sort of alternate to this would be the Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII. I think that's also a fantastic weapon, but I feel like the Masamune is just that weapon. Like when you see it, you know exactly who it belongs to.
So I put the Gunblade on my list.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right, great.
Because I thought about Final Fantasy VII, but really I thought about like, okay, Sephiroth's sword and Cloud's sword are just swords. Mm-hmm. And they also are so ridiculous, they look like they're compensating for something.
Oh, well, yeah, especially the Buster Swords like that. I mean, the thing with the Buster Sword, too, is like the hilt and the handle's so tiny.
Yeah.
Like, how does Cloud even hold that thing up?
How is this efficient?
Yeah.
So I thought, what's ridiculous is to have a gun for the handle of your sword and having a trigger to pull, and yet there's no real bullets that come out of these swords. It's just a blade.
It's almost like a combustion thing or
yeah,
something.
I'm like, does this make the sword like reverberate
Well,
or
well, I don't know if you remember as well, but in Final Fantasy VIII, you could actually do a timed hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you
That was my favorite part
Yeah,
of
when you
that.
type like I think it was like R1 or something, as the weapon hit, it would almost trigger a little explosion. You get bonus damage on it. So that was a great gimmick to tie with this whole stupid gunblade thing. I
Yeah.
say stupid endearingly, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a silly looking weapon.
I know.
but it's like it works so well that they actually tie that in some way to the gameplay.
I think for me it's like the most memorable Final Fantasy weapon.
It's up there.
Of the entire series for me because it's so ridiculous. But
Yeah.
it's awesome. Like I said, I played this after Mario RPG, which had the timed attacks, and I'm like, oh, this is sort of their way of saying, hey, look, we can do that too. It was only for Squall and his rival, but still, I was just like, this is hilarious and awesome. I'm
Yeah.
going to always remember these.
I do love it.
Gun blades.
I'm one of the apologists for Final Fantasy. Like, I know that's one of the. It's weird. It's like, when I say divisive of the series, it's weird because Final Fantasy has a lot of games in the series that would be considered divisive.
Yeah.
Right. Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 11,
13,
2. It's crazy that like for as amazing of a series is, there's so many things that seem to leave fans divided. But 8 seems like it's one of the more divisive ones, and I'm always an apologist for it. But the gunblade is also one big reason why I'm an apologist for it because it's such a ridiculous weapon, but it's also freaking cool for whatever reason, The weapon I was actually going to pick on our list because you almost got to it was the frying pan from Mario RPG.
Yes, I thought about
I was
that
going
too.
to slip that one in too
Yeah.
because I remember picking that up because you get it by grabbing it in a market where it says like, oh, there's like a hunk of metal. And it costs like, I forgot how much coins it is. But it ends up being like one of Princess's best weapons, or is it the best weapon?
For her,
It's that and
might
something
be-
else that was the top two. I
Yeah,
forget.
it might be one of her last 2 weapons.
It is.
But yeah, that's why it's so expensive. And you get it. I think it's in the third town you go to, but you don't really realize at first because you don't have her when you go
Exactly.
with the party, and then you get her, and it's like hilarious. I love in Smash Brothers how her forward regular attack is a callback to that. She'll either hit the person with a frying pan, a golf club, or a tennis racket.
Yeah, I love that little touch too. That's another reason why Smash Brothers is amazing. For
Yeah.
those little touches like that. Yeah. All right, dudes. I think you're up. No, we did Gunblade, so it's my turn.
Well, I was also going to say, along the lines of ridiculous weapons, this is back on Super Nintendo, but it has carried through in a lot of the series of Yoshi games, and that is Yoshi's eggs.
Oh, yeah, I could see that being a weapon, especially in Mario World 2. Yeah.
Ever since Mario World 2, all of a sudden Yoshi is known for taking his unborn children and chucking them at
He
enemies.
craps down an egg and throws them with great precision and velocity too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When that was first introduced in Mario World 2 in Yoshi's Island, I just really enjoyed that aspect of the game. Was just like it was implemented in all the boss fights, and I got really good because once you start the aiming process, it's just this little cursor that goes back and forth. You don't really have a control over it until it locks into a place that you want it to, and then you chuck it. And I got really good at like running and gunning with Yoshi and his eggs.
Yeah, it's pretty funny how they did turn that into a weapon, and you don't really think about it because it's just like he pops out eggs, but it's also when the eggs explode, they just pop and burst like a balloon. So
Yeah.
it's not like you see like yolk or anything come out or something morbid like that, So they just made it to like a normal cheery thing just by making it explode like a balloon. Yeah, it's
Yep.
pretty fun. Mine, I'll quickly go through here. Again, this is more for the fondness of the game. It's the SOCOM pistol from Metal Gear Solid. I feel like that's one of the more utility pistols in gaming for me. It's also just, when I played it and using the SOCOM, like you just felt like a total badass with Snake. Like that really felt like this espionage adventure you're about to undertake. And that was always your fallback pistol. Like in Metal Gear 2, it was always the tranquilizer darts. But in the first game, if you had your stealth, but there's a lot of times you would use your pistol more than anything else. Like
It was the first thing you found, because before that you had to just break necks or toss them and run.
yeah.
And then even once you got it, you didn't quite want to use it right away because it was going to alert guards until you found the suppressor. And then you just went crazy with it.
Exactly. And that's what made it even more awesome. It's like now I'm just the ultimate spy agent infiltrating this, this structure here. And now I could just dispatch enemies and they will never know I'm there and it won't matter. Or I can drag them out of the way.
Even with the way the camera was set up, it felt like a really intense gun battle when you fought Revolver Ocelot the first time with your like futuristic looking pistol and his old school 6-shooter.
Yeah, yeah. There would have been a nice weapon to put on there too, is Roll Slot's pistol. Actually. Yeah. But the SOCOM, again, a lot of the fondness for that game, Metal Gear Solid 1. We're going to cover that sometime in the future. I have to work out when we're going to do it, because I'm sure we're going to get Randy on here to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
But the SOCOM pistol, I mean, there's a lot of weapons in the Metal Gear series. There's another one I'll talk about later. But like I said, the SOCOM, just from when I first played that game, the experience I had with it, I just tied the SOCOM with that experience.
My next one is definitely another one where people will always clamor for this weapon, but it's always given to you at random. And it's the red shells in any Mario Kart game.
I figured we'd have at least one Mario Kart item in here. If it wasn't the blue shell, it had to be something else.
Yeah, the blue shell, I mean, is an interesting idea, but you have to usually be way back for it, or more than likely you're doing well and the computer is constantly messing you up with those. But the red shells, I mean, ever since Super Mario Kart, where you could just fire and forget, they have been my favorite weapon in the entire series.
I'd have to agree. Like I also love the star, and I do love the feather from the first game.
Oh yeah,
right. Just because I feel like that was a tie into Mario World.
Yep.
But the red shell, that to me is more iconic than the blue shell for basically the same reasons you had said. Like I think the blue shell is great, and it's hilarious, and it's an annoyance.
Yeah.
But it's also something you don't get too frequent unless you're doing poorly. And usually the red shells, if anything, that's like your shield. It's your offensive weapon. It's your defensive weapon. You know.
Yep.
It has a lot more utility than the blue shell, really. Yeah.
I even liked. I think it was in either the Game Boy Advance one or the DS one. You could lay the red shell, and it was sort of like a proximity mine. And it would, as soon as somebody passed it, then it would take off.
I do remember that.
Follow that. And I wish they had kept that in a lot of the future games.
It was almost like a landmine, like you said. Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't revisited that, because that would be kind of cool. Instead of like the fake item boxes.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, we got a pretty robust list here. Maybe we should start cutting through them here. Let's see. So I think this one on both our lists here. We have the Farsight from Perfect Dark.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah, so Perfect Dark has a ton of amazing weapons that are really unique. And there's a lot we could put on the list. Like there's the laptop gun, which I thought was really hilarious back then.
That's actually on my list.
Oh, is it on your list? Okay, I forgot if that was or not. But the Farsight was really unique because you couldn't move while using it. I mean, you could, but you didn't want to, because there was one function of it where it would see through walls, and you would see your enemies as sort of like these rainbow-colored, almost like thermal, in a sense, figures, and you could blast them right through walls if you could spot them.
It was the first instance of wall hacking.
Yeah, and it was funny because I vividly remember we would do multiplayer with our friends, and like there's times where we just have like Farsight wars basically, where it's like everyone just runs to a different spot, and you slowly try to track them like the Predator or something to try to one-shot them.
You could always tell who else had a Farsight because they were standing still.
Yeah, it's like I remember we had to be like an event or something stupid to hang out, and that weapon, like amongst all the unique weapons in Perfect Dark, the Farsight is one that was like, okay, wow, this is utter nonsense.
It was rage-inducing too if the people didn't know that the gun could do that, because you're just running along on your screen, not even seeing an enemy, and then suddenly you're down with a good headshot. You're just like blasted, and it'd be like, what the hell? Where was that?
Yeah, I hope that the next Perfect Dark, whenever it comes out, I hope that it's really good, and I hope they really keep the same essence of these really unique, crazy weapons, because they could do so much now with it, I'm sure.
Another unique one, like I said, was on my list from Perfect Dark. It's the laptop gun. And Perfect Dark introduced me, I don't know if it was the first game to do this, but it introduced me to alternate fire.
Yeah.
And the laptop gun was insanely useful, which I think they nerfed in a lot of future games that involve turrets. Whereas in this one, if you just collected the laptop gun, got it full ammo, as much as you could, and then threw it out as a turret, that thing would last for days.
Yeah, it was your own personal synergy turret that would last pretty much most of the match, more or less. It
was so quick on the trigger that people couldn't just shoot it down like you can in Call of Duty and stuff like that now. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much like people are going to hate you for putting it up somewhere vital.
Yeah, and I do remember that a lot happening. Yeah. And it's also just a matter of it's really whoever could have it first and set it up, because it wasn't uncommon where you just would run into multiple laptop gun sentries. Yeah. All right, Ducia, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit here since we got... I forgot how many I put on this list. I just kept going. So next one I want to talk about, I guess we'll go this a little bit chronologically, it's the HF blade, the high frequency blade from Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid Revengeance. This is Raiden's weapon. It's this katana-looking weapon that has this powerful alternating currents, and this alternating current allows the weapon to sort of oscillates, like vibrates. And this vibration allows it to cut through virtually anything, and so much so that in Revengeance, like you basically cut through a giant Metal Gear Ray, like it's like it's freaking a knife through butter, so to speak. I had to put this on here for that reason. I think the Metal Gear Solid 2 version, like when you play as Raiden, you get like it's almost just like this sword that he gets when he's just like stuck in Arsenal gear. If I recall correctly, right?
Yeah.
So it's not as exciting there. It just feels kind of clunky to use. But when we play Revengeance, which have you played that? Did you beat that?
No, I have it, but I never started it up yet.
Oh, okay. So I beat that back then because I was hooked. It's just like a Devil May Cry Metal Gear, which is why.
Yeah.
But you get into a mode there where it's like this slow mode where you kind of like use the right stick to cut in certain directions. Because,
I have seen this.
Right, yeah, because the idea is like when you sort of get enemies to like a sort of like a stun state, their weak points exposed, and sometimes it's like being blocked by certain armor or something like that. So you have to use the HF blade in like the slow-mo mode to slice right through it. It also plays in the final boss, which was an effing nightmare.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
I beat that. I was like, Jesus Christ, this was hard. This was brutal. So my choice on this list is because of Revengeance, because he is such a freaking badass in that game. It's fantastic.
My next one will keep it in the spy era, and it's from GoldenEye. It's the proximity mines. Like GoldenEye has a ton of weapons, I would say, but a lot of them are just your basic AK-47 or a PP7 and stuff like that. And a lot of people might also think, oh, the Golden Gun, that should go on this list. Where, like, if we played a lot of License to Kill, all guns do one-shot kill. So Golden Gun was actually kind of a detriment because you had to reload after every shot.
Yep, I do remember that.
Proximity mines, though, that's where it was at for me. Was actually that and remote mines. Because back in GoldenEye's day, they were so tiny. They looked like the bullet holes that you would leave in the walls. So you could, theoretically, shoot bullet holes into the walls and then throw a mine on there to disguise it.
Yeah, I remember doing that. It was a common strategy for all of us.
And if you got like too good at the game, you knew where all of the spawn points were for the multiplayer levels. So you just leave some proximity mines behind on those as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, or you leave them on the ammo crates or nearby.
Yep.
Exactly, yeah, because even the Vapor could kill you in that game. It's really hilarious. Well, if you got close enough and you're at low health, really. But yeah, I figured something from Golden had to be on your list. I would have put something like the PP7 or like the, is it the Stove, the DD44, whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Right, those to me were like, I don't know why those weapons resonate with me from Golden. I don't know why. The next one, I'm going to kind of bundle these together. The first one is the crowbar from Half-Life and Half-Life 2, because that goes in with my lead pipe weapon where, for the most part in Half-Life 1 and 2, you have a vast array of weapons, and sometimes you just want to rely on the crowbar because it's really strong, and obviously, it doesn't require ammo. It's super fast, and it's really has a lot of utility as well because, like, it'll break crates, it'll open up vents, vents, covers, stuff like that. And also, it's just a pretty unique weapon for your main character to have because he's also a silent protagonist on top of all that.
I'd say it's probably like the most iconic thing from Half-Life.
I would say so until my next choice. Yeah, so I'll use that as a segue because Half-Life 2 and Portal, it's the gravity gun and the portal gun. So Half-Life 2, I never actually finished Half-Life 1 because I didn't have a PC that could run it back then and it wasn't ported to anything. So I actually played through Half-Life 2 first, and I played through most of Half-Life 1. But when Half-Life 2 came out, the big deal of that game, besides of the gorgeous graphics, the physics, was the freaking gravity gun, which could pick up objects, it could throw them, it could propel them. It picked up almost anything, really, like from crates to planks of wood. You would also solve traversal puzzles. Like there might be an instance where you might have to cross like 2 shipping containers or something, right? And you would lay down some pieces of wood on or something so you could cross a bridge. Or it might be you might stack something to get over a fence or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say this really played into, you mentioned the physics of the game, which were very unique for the time.
They were definitely pretty mind-blowing at the time. I think it was the Havoc physics engine. And it's like you would see things just crumble before you, with proper physics. Like if you destroy a crate, like you'd see everything fall properly.
Yeah.
And they absolutely use that for like with buoyancy, like when you would take like something like I don't know, like a cone or something like that, and like it would float in water and you would throw it with a gravity gun. Stuff that really hadn't been seen in games to that degree before. So I had to put that, and then tangentially to that is the portal gun, which set up a whole different level of game with that, because some students created this game that's basically allows you to just put these two portals, if you've ever played Portal, anywhere in the level or anywhere in the area and just walk right through them, which, again, mind-blowing to me when I played that. Like, I know Prey 2006 had done that previous. Like, they had a very limited portal system, because that was like, spun off of I think it was like a Duke Nukem game or something like that. It was meant to be off 3D Realms or something like that. But they had to where like these portals would show a different part of the area, and you would walk through them and you could shoot through them.
Yeah, in that game, I think it was only on specific walls.
Very specific,
but
yeah.
Then Portal came along, and they were like, "Hey, anywhere you think of."
Yeah, it's like you need to solve this puzzle by getting this, this companion cube to sit on this button or whatever. How are you going to do that? Oh, you just set up portals everywhere and you do all this puzzle solving. So that game is truly incredible. I think that's one of the more iconic games in history, just in general.
And now, thanks to Splitgate, they really have turned it into a weapon.
Yeah, and also even now, like you look at like Ratchet and Clank, a lot of modern games, right, because of the SSD storage where they can do these things quicker. Like Ratchet and Clank has you just jumping through portals, like almost like a multiverse thing, right?
Oh, was it Spider-Man 2? There's that one section where you're going through the portals and you're trying to swing and chase somebody.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. There's that, and there's also in Marvel Rivals, Doctor Strange has a power where he could set up portals across the map. So you set one up where your spawn point is, and set another one, further down the line, and your teammates could walk through that portal.
Nice.
So this portal gun has had its influences, to say the least, and it's all started from the crowbar and then the gravity gun, and then that spun off to the portal gun. It's truly amazing. So to me, like if I was to objectively rate some of these weapons at the top of the list, like that has to be like top 5, like the gravity gun and portal gun. It has to be like top 5 weapons of all time.
Yeah, I've never played Halo, Half-Life 2, surprisingly.
It's really, really, really good.
I played Half-Life 1 for a little bit until I got stuck, but I do remember the crowbar being very useful in that one. That was fun. And then Portal, yeah, I loved 1 and 2. I played through those nonstop. I'm going to keep my weapons in the espionage era, and we're going to go with Siphon Filter, the taser.
Oh, I love this one. I saw this on your list, and I was like, yeah, this is a fantastic choice. Very good choice.
And, in the time of Metal Gear and GoldenEye and all this, Siphon Filter had to be a little unique. And so they were like, hey, how about a taser? And you think, oh, what, a taser? That's just going to knock some guys on their butt? No. What if you could cook a person?
Yeah. And they're twitching and writhing, and they're just burning in pure hell. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy that this did not garner more eyes on it, like a Mortal Kombat or something. Because
it did at the time. Like I remember it being a big deal. Like magazines were talking about in this.
Yeah.
Like I remember being in ads. Right. That was the whole thing. Like in commercials.
I think it's even on the back of the box.
Yeah, and it's weird because like it's a lot of people have their own iconic weapons list or noble list, and I almost never see the taser come up from Siphon Filter.
It's like the only one I can think of where, like, other games have had tasers, but it's always a quick zap and then the guy goes down or flies across the screen or something. And this one, it held you there, and you could choose how benevolent you wanted to be.
It's true, because you could sit there and just stun them, and if you held the button, you could just catch them on fire.
Yeah.
Like my brother being like the troll he is, we just do that over and over and over to enemies and just laugh.
Yeah.
He was like 10 years old or something ridiculous. Just having a ball of time cooking people with the taser. It's ridiculous. Yep. Yeah. The next one on my list is Alastor from Devil May Cry 1. It's no secret that I love action games. I love these brutally hard action games like Devil May Cry. And when I played Devil May Cry, that was sort of the first non-Resident Evil Capcom game I was really looking forward to with Onimusha, because I knew what Capcom had been doing with Resident Evil. This was more of like a gothic action Resident Evil. And when you're first introduced to Alistair, I say he, but the sword is like, it's embedded in the statue in Devil May Cry, and then Dante, who's the character you're playing as, it ends up impaling him, and it tells Dante that's basically going to enslave him, because the sword imbues the owner or the person enslaved with the power of the Devil Trigger, which is what allows Dante to turn into Devil Trigger, where he gets like, he gets increased speed, increased power, increased ability. And to me, when this weapon first revealed itself, I'd never played this game before. I thought it was like the most badass introduction for a weapon, is the fact that it just impales you and takes you over. Because even the sword, I forgot if it's like a lore piece or what that's in there. It says, "I am Alistair. The weak shall give their heart and swear their eternal loyalty to me," which is pretty damn cold for just a weapon to tell you right out the bat. But also, you have to, the wielder has to be capable of taking its power, right? And Dante is just sort of like, he's like a Nephilim, where he's like half demon, half human, so he's able to, take the
Was
the
this
punishment from Alistair.
was this all in the first game?
That was all in the first game, yeah,
Okay.
because he's had different ones since then. Like there's Rebellion, and then the other one I just wanted to briefly mention with Devil May Cry 3 was Nevin. It's this, it's from Devil May Cry 3, and it's a freaking lightning guitar. So whenever you use it, like he's just ripping riffs and shredding on there, just calling lightning all over the place. And the weapon description says that it's charged from the heavens, which is pretty badass because it's just like a metal flying V looking guitar that just spits out bats and electricity. It's pretty badass.
Weird.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, I didn't get to 3. I did all of 1, and weirdly, I don't remember this as the origin of it. I just remember he had 2 badass guns. Like I think they were,
Ebony and Ivory.
Yeah, one was white, one was black.
Great list. Yeah, and the
And-
shotgun there too is pretty good.
and I just loved all the juggling you could do with the guns or with that sword.
Well, what's funny? A little tidbit about that, Ducey, is that I remember reading an issue of official PlayStation magazine back then, and how the combat system for Devil May Cry originated with that whole juggling system was, I think it was Shinji Mikami. I think it was when he produced it. He ran into a glitch in Onimusha where he was using the katana in there,
Nice.
and the enemy was stuck in the middle in midair, and he somehow decided to turn that into like the main combat mechanic of Devil May Cry. So I thought that was a cool little tie.
He's like, I want to do this on purpose now.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah. And also, it's fun because I think Devil May Cry was supposed to start as a Resident Evil game, if I recall.
Yeah, it was going to be Resident Evil 4.
Exactly, right? So there's also that, and the fact that it felt like a Resident Evil game to me.
Yeah.
And then, it's just balls to the wall action. It's really good.
Well, keeping in line with our swords here, I've got another great one that a lot of people are going to remember. Probably a lot of people got frustrated with, but it's the plasma sword from Halo 2.
Yes, I wanted to put this on my list, but I figured you'd also mention on there too.
Yeah. I almost put the pistol from Halo 1 because that thing is way OP. But then I remembered the sword is awesome.
The sword is what leads to really hilarious moments with your friends when you're playing with 15 people
Yes.
in a room.
and there's only one sword per level.
Yeah. And someone is screaming at you from the other room.
Yeah.
Look at your back. Look at your back or whatever. Yeah.
Hey, turn around. Turn around. And you're just running. You got to keep
Something's
just
coming.
out of range because that thing, once it locks on, you have this crazy dash slice.
It's got a very big lunge. It feels satisfying to hit because it makes like this weird, like almost like electric static noise when you cut through someone.
But it is also just as fun to turn around and as they lunge at you, you blast them with a shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a two-step. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the plasma sword is definitely an iconic weapon. That's definitely one of my favorites too. I really love that from the Halo series. Like, I don't think there's anything else. I mean, the assault rifle is pretty badass in Halo though, but the sword, I think, just especially when you first use that sword, like I think that was a big thing. I remember seeing it in promo shots and videos way back then, and you're just really excited to try that thing.
I feel like Halo had a handful of weapons that you get in other games, but it was the most fun to use, at least in Halo 2 and Halo 3, and that's the sniper rifle. Mm-hmm. Like, you get that in any shooter game, but I don't know, there's just something about, even though you have 4 shots, it's just fun to watch the streak go out and nail somebody. And also the sticky grenades.
Oh yeah, those are the plasma grenades.
Yeah, which, like, you have Semtex and stuff in Call of Duty, but it's not as fun as watching the blue glow hit somebody.
Especially when you set up the most fantastic trick shot, because we did get really good at aiming those things and like knowing how to intercept someone when they're running, or if you can see someone coming. Like, it's a lot harder now. Like, when I went back to play Halo 2 for the anniversary, it was like, wow, this feels way different than what I remember. Like, it's a lot more floaty, but we used to be amazing at this.
I was surprised when I was sticking people in that. Because like you said, we could time it to where if they're coming up one of those jump pads, you could just nail them in midair.
Yep, and you see them float over you and they explode and die. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's a good choice. The next one on my list, it's moving a little bit forward here. It's the flashlight from Alan Wake, Ducey.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a very unique weapon because in Alan Wake, you play a writer who's stuck in Bright Falls. It's very much like a In the Mouth of Madness or like a Stephen King story.
And he's just an average Joe.
He's just an average writer, and he's stuck in this world that he's pretty much written about, or he's written, but he's now stuck in the world he's created, more or less. And in this world, it's just nothing but darkness, and nothing kills darkness but light. And in this case, Alan Wake has a flashlight where he shines them on an enemy, and it sort of stuns them and sort of like removes the darkness for a temporary, so they're vulnerable to gunfire. But to me, that's like one of the most unique weapons because you would not expect something as what's the word I'm looking for? Not innocuous.
Oh,
is it innocuous?
no. Oh my god, I just had a brain
I can't
fart,
remember,
too.
but you would not expect a flashlight to be
Yeah.
a weapon. I can't remember the freaking word, but you know what I'm talking about. I know you know. I just can't think of the word anywhere. But it's just a weapon that you wouldn't expect to be useful or to be a weapon. But in here, it's really the thing you have to use no matter what. Like the whole game is dark, and it's really sort of hanging on this idea that you need to be using the flashlight at all times, whether you're traversing through the forest, whether you're going through a diner. Dangers lurking every corner, and to even injure enemies in any way, you have to shine light on them and then stun them. So I thought that was just a really good gimmick to tie into the story of the whole game, and it's truly like one of my favorite 360 games ever. So I feel like I had to have a shout out for at least the flashlight.
And this leads into my next one because it's sort of a combo. It's in Luigi's Mansion. You have a flashlight
Oh yeah,
to stun the ghosts, but then you suck them up with a vacuum.
That's right. It's a great choice. The vacuum, yeah.
And I loved this because at the time when Luigi's Mansion came out, we didn't really have a good Ghostbusters game.
Definitely not by this time. No.
No. So this was your Ghostbusters fix because instead of, hitting them with the beam and then throwing them into a ghost trap, it was all in one. You flashed them with a beam with the flashlight, and then you sucked them up through the vacuum. And the physics were great in that. Like, you had to really struggle. It was like fishing.
Yes, I was about to mention exactly fishing, yeah.
Yeah, you just had to always tug the opposite way of the ghost, but the ghost is going frantic as you're sucking them up. It's very much a cartoon vacuum like you would see in a Bugs Bunny cartoon or something.
It's great because it's really weird when you can play a game and the controls in some way make you feel that resistance or like it's actually happening.
Yeah.
And yet you don't actually really feel that. So it's like when you are pulling against the ghost, like for some reason between the rumble and just the resistance of the stick.
Yeah, you don't have any like haptic feedback.
Exactly. It was
an
pretty
early
primitive,
game.
but it worked so freaking well.
Yeah.
That also reminds me, I need to finish Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah.
I've been putting that off for like years. I need to get to that. And also, I think they released the Luigi Mansion 2 remake, right?
Yeah, on
God, so you have to
Switch
get
now.
that too. I forgot about that. Jesus.
I got all the way to the last mansion in that one. That one on 3DS. That
Yeah,
was a
I
good
have
one.
it on 3DS and I never played it because I got it, it was like $5 on discount or something like that.
It's
just never
another really
played it.
good one, yeah.
I heard it was, yeah. So that's why I was excited for the remake because I was like, well, I didn't play on 3DS.
Yeah.
I could play the remake. I forgot it was already out. Right, the next one, I'm going to hop a little bit here. I'm going to go with again, this is a bit of a combo here, but primarily it's the Lancer from Gears of War, but also the Hammer of Dawn.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so the Lancer is amazing because it's just a really big, bulky assault rifle. And again, Gears of War, it's rooted in Unreal. It's Epic Games' newest game after Unreal, like that's sort of the new franchise with Cliff Bleszinski. It's definitely one of my favorite 360 games. It's one of the best co-op experiences I think ever in history of gaming. And a lot has to do with just the weapons and the weightiness of the characters, but the Lancer, which is your most basic assault rifle you start with, is awesome because it has a freaking chainsaw attached to the bottom. So you can go up to enemies, whether you flank them, you stun them, whatever, and you just hear that chainsaw rip and you cut right through them in this brutal cutscene. It's absolutely insane.
It's crazy that Doom has never thought of this. Like, it had a chainsaw and then it had a gun separate.
And never thought to combine them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this time, like, because, geez, 2006, yeah, Doom 3 was already out at 2004. So, yeah, I think Doom just kind of was, I don't want to say conservative, but, they had their plasma weapons, BFG and whatnot, but I don't think they ever thought to go out of the realms with, like, combining your basic weapons like that. Because that would have been pretty badass in Doom. It would have worked perfectly.
Especially the modern Dooms now.
In modern Dooms now, for sure. Yeah. Well, in the new one, in Dark Ages, you're going to have that weird shield.
Oh,
blade,
yeah.
Right? That's going to be pretty cool. But the Lancer, again, like, for the time, this was, like, one of the most badass-looking weapons you could use. Like, it was satisfying just to go up to any enemy you could that was weakened enough and just cut them from behind, front, whatever. You just want to see something happen. And they carried it all through the series. Like, there's multiple different finishers.
It was annoying as hell though in multiplayer.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
But the cool thing though is you almost have like a duel though. You would outmatch each other because you almost have like dueling chainsaws.
Oh yeah.
If you both would hit the button at the same time, you'd also have like a tug of war thing where you have to mash out and beat out the other guy, which is really awesome because that's also tense because you see the chain blades warring coming towards you. And then the Hammer of Dawn, it's one of the bigger weapons in Gears of War. You don't use it all the time, but it's basically just this sort of satellite paints weapon where it's like you mark a target and then this giant beam of light that comes from a satellite somewhere in orbit just starts obliterating things on the screen. It's almost like God is just sending this beam of light to kill everything.
I'd say Helldivers 2 was heavily inspired by this one.
Oh, I'd agree. Yeah, for sure. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. So the Hammer of Dawn and Lancer, I feel like are just, hand in hand there, but the Hammer of Dawn was just, God, like the first time you use that weapon, you just see that beam chasing things, because you also would guide it. It's like,
oh yeah,
it looked ridiculous. It was truly, and also with 360 with like the HD era, it looked even more badass.
I remember when I was thinking of weapons for this list, and I got to the Halo time, I was like, okay, Gears of War was also out and around the same time, but I couldn't remember specifics of that. And then I was like, oh yeah, when I saw your list, I was like, duh, the chainsaw gun, that was all anybody ever talked about in that one.
Yeah, that game had a lot of great weapons, but it was always the Lancer. Like that chainsaw really made the difference with that. Like they had a really cool shotgun. It had really cool like weighted grenade, like you could swing it around.
Oh
right?
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, but it's like the Lancer was like the thing you wanted to use the most. Like that was you're almost sad when you had to give it up for something else because you're out of ammo. You know? Yeah.
My next one is around the PS2, Xbox era, and I guess you could consider it either a vehicle or a weapon or both, and it's the tank from Grand Theft Auto 3.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. My brother would love that choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, like I almost said from any Grand Theft Auto, but no, specifically Grand Theft Auto 3, where you just entered the code and you immediately got in and just started driving around causing havoc. Because in Vice City, my favorite in that one was the attack chopper. Mm-hmm. But for Grand Theft Auto 3, oh my God, it was like you are now invincible and you can do whatever you want. You wanted to get a star level so that you could, antagonize the cops and everything.
That's all my brother would do, is he would record himself on VHS with like the highest wanted level in the tank, and it was just a literal sandbox for him that caused mass destruction. He had such an amazing time all the time. He was just sitting there for hours doing this.
I even like doing the trick where you turn the gun around and you use it as sort of a jet propulsion. Mm-hmm. And you could like get across the bridge before it was down so you could get into the other sections of the game a little early. Yeah, that was like the true sandbox feeling in Grand Theft Auto, because in 4 and 5, it's a little too realistic and you don't want to cause too much trouble because those cops are a lot tougher now.
They're a lot tougher. Also, I think they didn't want to sacrifice performance either, because back then, like when you have cops, pedestrians, other cars, the tank, the explosions from the tank, God, it would tank the frame rate like crazy, but you didn't care. Yeah. So I think now it's like, I don't think they want to go that heavy with things, because also they don't really need to.
Yeah.
But God, can you imagine the level of destruction you could do now? Like, I really wish they would make like a new Red Faction Guerrilla, that game that had tons of destructibility.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I wish they would make another game like that where just everything's just destructible like nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Deuces. So I have just a couple more on my list. I don't know how many you have on yours, but we could.
I think I have about one left.
Oh, one left. Okay, so I guess that works. So I'll go with the Leviathan axe from the more recent God of War games from 2018 and Ragnarok. This is a badass axe forged by these two blacksmith brothers named Brock and Sindri, and it's to fight off the power of is it Mjolnir?
Mjolnir.
Yeah. So Mjolnir is in Thor's hands, and this Leviathan axe is sort of the equivalent to take that weapon out. And it's one of the most badass recent weapons. It has one of the most awesome utilities where it's like you could throw it to solve puzzles. Like you go with these gears and cogs that freeze them in place. You could throw it at enemies and get stuck in there, and like you could shock them or freeze them and call it back. And it's just like the way Kratos' animations, the way he could just use the axe, it just looks really forceful and tactful. So everything just has like this really satisfying impact and fluidity to it. And it's just one of the more badass looking weapons you'll see in a game too. Like it just has like these, I guess they're like dwarven artifacts or constellations on it. I know someday you'll play God of War and you'll see it.
I know Randy was saying that this needs to be on my Game of the Year next year.
Yeah, 2025.
But I like I told you guys, Astrobot did a great job of representing God of War in the game. Because,
that's like a Cliff Notes Leviathan, more or less. Yeah.
And I like I said, I got the gist of it. It's like you go around your little Astrobot, you have a little axe, and you just start flinging it everywhere and pulling it back.
That's very much similar, yeah.
I'm like,
they took a lot of mechanics there.
This is why it's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So I had to put this on there because also there's the Blades of Chaos, which are which he's originally known for, like in the early PS2 games, and he also gets them in God of War as well.
Oh, nice.
And they're really badass. Like I love the Blades of Glory are
Blades of Glory.
Blades of Glory. They made it was Bobby. The Blades of Chaos, because they do look awesome. Like there's these chain blades, and they have a lot of range, and you can crisscross them. It really is just
around.
as I mean, they're arguably more iconic than the Leviathan axe, but recency bias for me. It's just I love the Leviathan axe.
My last weapon is probably the most recent, but not in terms of like actual time. It's just on my list. It's the most recent. It's from Borderlands 1, and it's Bloodwing.
Bloodwing, was that the
He's the bird.
Yeah, his bird buddy? That's right. Yeah, the sniper guy.
My favorite character in that one was playing as Mordecai because he's a sniper, so he stays back and he's great with sniper rifles. All of his attack trees have to do with sniping, but he also gets his bird buddy. Mm-hmm. It's like a giant hawk or an eagle or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can send him out for multiple things. You can send him out to like sniff out where to go. You can just like pester the enemy if you want to snipe and distract him, or he can actually go out and attack and kill the smaller enemies. And you can even, I want to say he can bring back weapons or items.
Oh, like picks up loots?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just a great companion to this game. Like, I know each character brought something different, but I never really played as anybody else. I was like, this is perfect. Sniping and a bird buddy. And I was sad that he wasn't in the second game.
I don't think most anyone was. I think maybe one or two were. I can't remember. Lilith was, and maybe the soldier guy.
Mordecai was in it, but he was, he gave you missions. You didn't play as him.
Yeah, that's right.
And in that one, or at least in the pre-sequel, you had somebody with like this shielded blade thing that threw out and came back to you. Mm-hmm. It was almost like the bird, but not quite. It didn't have the same personality.
It doesn't quite feel like you got a buddy there. Just like the bird. Yeah. All right, so the last one on my list, and I guess the last one we'll cover for today, is the Glue Cannon from Prey 2017. This stands for Jellifoam Lattice Organism Obstructor. It's a tool you find on the space station that you're stuck on, and it shoots like this weird foam that can sort of freeze itself, and you can create platforms, you can create walls around enemies, you can patch up these holes in these flaming pipes and whatnot. Really, the glue can's meant to have a lot of utility for the environments and to traverse and make new ways for it, because this is an immersive sim. So everything allows you to sort of execute your missions in a way you want, right? You have to explore how you want to do things. You have multiple paths of entry. So the glue cannon, I keep saying glue gun, but it's the glue cannon allows you to do that. So it's like if you see some entryway that you see is out of the way, you probably could use your glue cannon to get your way up there in some way.
Nice.
And also can freeze some smaller enemies. You can also upgrade this thing. And it's really cool because it doesn't have the utility of like a portal gun or anything, but again, this allows you to solve problems that, other tools in the game wouldn't allow you to. This gives you a lot more freedom than you probably wouldn't have before, because there's certain ways where like, if there's like an area where you can be stealth and it's really hard because there's a lot of enemies nearby. I remember going up this sort of greenhouse where I made a path to the top because I found out there's like a hole in the ceiling. So I used the glue cannon to make platforms to get my way up there, and I kind of infiltrated this greenhouse and took everyone out by going through the ceiling. So it's really cool because not a lot of games give you the kind of freedom to solve puzzles and solve the environment in a way that gives you, a little bit more satisfaction versus just find the path the developer it's designed, right? Versus like go through the vent and execute it this way. This is like, no, like if this method isn't working, this glue cannon may be able to open up a way that you wouldn't expect normally. I don't think you've played this, right? Have you played this? This is one I always recommend. It's when I played through it, it was a pretty hard game, and maybe I made some poor decisions with my abilities. I don't know. But I would say definitely at least play this on story mode, because it's one of the best games no one played in 2017.
True. Yeah. It reminds me of one of the weapons or attachments in Astrobot where you had that little backpack that sucked up goo.
Yeah, similar to that.
And then you could make platforms and everything. And that one obviously helped you solve puzzles, but it wasn't as free as what this sounds like.
Yeah, this is, like I said, it's totally dependent on player agency and freedom, where, like I said, you approach a situation or a room, or you might find secrets or, other not collectibles, but like, ammo or supplies and resources. And that's the thing, is like, then you become in a routine where it's like, I need to explore everything. I see some nook up there. Should I go up there and check this thing out? I can use the glue cannon to make like room. And it sucks is, you do have limited ammo with it, which you can find around the area. So sometimes like I'd run out because what I thought my experiment would work didn't work, and I ran out of ammo.
Yep.
But it just the fact that you have that kind of freedom agency is pretty amazing. So to me, that's one of the more iconic recent weapons. I hope that this game catches a little bit more attention because nowadays it's a little bit of a cult hit. Like a lot of people who recommend it will recommend it because they've played through it and say it's great. But I think naming it Prey, which I believe they were forced to, kind of was a detriment to it. And also, for a long time before this game came out, I thought it was some sort of reboot or spin-off of Prey 2006 that we talked about earlier. Because I really loved that game back then. And this is its own totally separate game in a separate universe. And it's just, they named it Prey, which I think ultimately didn't help it.
Nope.
It's also not very descriptive of the game, really, either.
I always assumed, I didn't even know if it was a remake. I thought it was like a reimagining that was supposed to erase that first
one. That's exactly what I thought.
And I was like, but I really liked that first one. I don't want to play this one. But now the more I've seen, I've seen people playing it on YouTube, and the more you've said, I was like, wow, this sounds like a game that's kind of right up my alley.
You could get lost in it because it's, like I said, it's definitely, for me, it felt a little difficult, and not like in a cheap way. I didn't understand how to properly get through certain situations. So I definitely say knock it down if you have to, because it's definitely worth experiencing. Like, the story is really, really good, and it's just sci-fi greatness on a space station. Like, how you can't say anything bad about being stuck on a space station in a sci-fi experience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, that'll do it for our iconic weapons list. I think we had a pretty badass list all throughout, and I've said badass quite a few times because there's a lot of badass weapons on this list. So if anyone else out there has any weapons they want to send us that they think are iconic or maybe we missed, or maybe for a future episode, you can email us at legiongamingpod@gmail.com, and you can find us at Legion Gaming Podcast on Instagram. Ducey, any final words for our friends seeking out iconic weapons in the world?
Lock and load.